Hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. It's the US Open, and we are marching forward at the tournament. We are heading to day 4. It's been a big opening round across 3 days through to earlier today on Wednesday, Australian time, Tuesday night, US time. And look, it went reasonably to script, I would think you would suggest, on Wednesday. When we have a look at the men's draw, no seeds falling. Alex de Minaur progressed through. Tristan Skulkate progressed through in 5 sets against Lorenzo Sonego. So that was a great win for the Aussies. Alexi Popyrin through as well. So Alex Bublik, Cerundolo got through. Lorenzo Musetti got through in 4. Denis Shapovalov. FAA coming through in straight sets against Billy Harris as well. Lots of predicted winners getting through in the men's. It was fairly good progress for many. Gael Monfils probably one name bowing out. He went out in 5 sets against Saifulin from Russia. So on the women's singles, not quite so straightforward. It was reasonably straightforward. Coco Gauff going through in 3 sets against Tom Lanovich. Others progressing through. Donna Vekic got the win against Busas Monteiro, which was a little bit of a surprise for us. We saw Alexandrova progress through. Diana Schneider and Sophia Kenin both bowed out, so 2 seeds dropping. Anna Samova in straight sets over Birrell. Linda Noskova going through. Beatrice Haddad-Meyer going through. And, of course, Iga Swiatek, a nice, easy walkthrough in 1 and 2. But Maya Joint getting through in straight sets was a positive one for the Aussies. 6-4, 7-6, winning the tiebreak to 8. So well done to Maya Joint. And it certainly livens things up. And if we take a quick look at the seeds and how they stand at the moment, we have seen quite a few seeds bow out. We have 8 women's seeds in total. Madison Keys the highest, and that's got quite some impact on it in terms of the live rankings. So we'll watch how that plays out once we settle into a few more rounds. Alina Svitolina, Clara Towson, 3 of the top 16 gone, and then a lot of the next 16 gone as well. Diana Schneider, Victoria Mboko, Veronika Kudermetova, Sophia Kenin, and Diana Yastremska all bowing out in the first round. So a quarter of our women's seeds knocked out, which is a big blow in the first round. For the men's, just the 4. 1 inside the top 16, which, of course, was Daniel Medvedev, and that loss of his to Benjamin Bonzi. Ugo Humbert, he lost to Walton, which was a great result for the Aussies. And then 28th and 29th seed, Alex Michelsen and Talon Griekspoor bowing out. So just the 4. A little less chaos and mayhem on the men's side, that is for sure, up to and including day 3. Now let's turn our eyes to Aussie Watch on day 4, and we've got a couple in action. The first of those is Priscilla Hon up against Ludmila Samsonova. So this is going to be an interesting one from a matchup point of view. When we talk about Hon obviously coming through in a good result in the first round, she comes up against the 17th seed in Ludmila Samsonova. Samsonova currently ranked 20 in the world, has been up as high as 12. Hon has spent quite a bit of time on court. That is obviously a key piece with playing through qualifying, so that will be something to watch here. But interestingly enough, they have played once before on hard courts way back in 2020, and it was Hon who was a qualifier in that situation as well, coming up against Samsonova and got through in 3 sets, coming back from a set down to get it done. So quite surprising. But again, she got that good win against Leolia Jean-Jean in the first round in straight sets. She beat Julie Niemeyer in the second round of qualifying as well. So building reasonably well so far here. But again, it's going to be a very different story. Samsonova dropped a set in her first round match. But look, again, I don't think we can rely too much on that historical piece of the 2020 result. The extra time on court is significant. Admittedly, Samsonova's last match much longer, 2.5 hours versus 1.5 hours. But Hon was not in great form coming in here. She has strung together 4 wins now with qualifying. But Samsonova is going to be a different beast, and the quality of play that she can play, the power that she can roll out, this will be out on court 10 tomorrow. I just think Samsonova will get it done. I wouldn't be surprised if Hon maybe grabs the first or second set and pushes it a 3. But I think for Ludmila Samsonova, this is a winnable match, obviously, and Hon, I think that workload over the last week might be a little bit too much for her. So we're going to go with Samsonova in 3 to win this one. Another Aussie in action, Jordan Thompson. He shook off the health concerns. He comes up against Adrian Mannarino. Now, these two have played a whopping 10 times on the tour. Both have been up inside the top 30 previously with their rankings. Not there at the moment. Thompson ranked in the 50s, Mannarino in the 70s. Very similar sorts of time on court in recent weeks. We know that, in this tournament, I should say, we know that Thompson has had a bit of an injury layoff. Mannarino, not the best hard court form leading into the tournament. So an interesting one in terms of how it all mixes up and matches up. But these guys played at Cincinnati. Mannarino got it done 2-2 only a couple of weeks ago. They also played back in October of 2024 where Jordan Thompson got the win. And again, they've played a number of times. I think they played 4 times in 2023, including 3 times in about a 7-week period. They've played on hard courts. They've played on grass. Mannarino has the edge at the moment on hard courts. As we said, he won that last match only a couple of weeks ago. So that's some really strong form for him. Thompson going to be in a little bit better form now when we look at it after getting that first round win and getting himself moving here. But again, Mannarino took out the seeded player in Talon Griekspoor. Corentin Moutet did provide a little bit of a challenge for Thompson, but he got through in 4 sets. So realistically, that Moutet game is the only match he's played since that loss to Mannarino. So I wonder how much that sits there for him. Remembering Mannarino went on a bit of a run to it. Cincinnati got through to the 4th round before an eventual loss to Jannik Sinner, and he took out Tommy Paul, Thomas Mahatch, and Jordan Thompson there, as well as having qualified. So he managed to string together 5 wins there. I think, for me, Mannarino might be a little bit too strong. He looks like he's really starting to find his gears. I think this one will be a 4 or 5 setter, though. And I'm going to go with Mannarino in 5 sets. We know Jordan Thompson loves a 5-setter. He loves to go deep. Mannarino's not averse to it either. This will be a really enthralling clash. I think it's going to be toe-to-toe. There's going to be lots of big hitting. But I'm going to go Mannarino to get it done in 5. So love to be proven wrong on that one, though. Amazing to think they've played 10 times already on tour. What a head-to-head record. Next up, we're moving from Aussie Watch. It's just the 2 in action on day 4, and we're going to move into some of the men's matches. We've got a couple to pick apart and then a good handful of the women's. And we're going to talk about Thomas Mahatch up against João Fonseca. Obviously, Fonseca, we've waxed lyrical about him a number of times to this point. He is really highly talented. Mahatch, certainly talented himself. He's seeded 21 for a reason. He's possibly, if he can string together a couple of wins here, going to push his way into the top 20 and exceed potentially his highest ranking of 20. He hasn't entered inside the teens yet in his rankings. Fonseca, similarly, he'll be looking to try and push up in towards the seedings as we head towards the Australian Open now as the next focus. And his hard court record is 20-5. He's been really strong on the hard courts, Fonseca. We know that. But Mahatch is going to be an interesting one. He's also got a pretty solid hard court record, although, as I touched on just before, bowed out in his first match at Cincinnati and his first match at Toronto. I think we've talked about this already. Here at Flushing Meadows, he got the job done against Luca Nardi very easily, 3-1-1 Thomas Mahatch. So he was dominant in that first round. It was also straight sets for Fonseca, but he had to go to 2 tie breaks before a 6-3 third set sealed it out against Miomir Kekmanovic. It's an interesting one. You could argue on form lines, both of these guys. You could come up with stories and narratives around why one is going to go further than the other. But it's the experience of Mahatch up against the youthful exuberance and just pure shot making of João Fonseca. And I'm going to go Fonseca to get the upset against the seed here. I'm going to go Fonseca in 4 sets. This is his time to shine. This is his time to stand up on the grandstand court. Starting to work towards the big time. We'll see lots of Brazilian fans out getting behind him. They'll make some noise, and it will certainly be a rowdy and raucous atmosphere there on the grandstand. I think it's the second match off there. So, I'm going to go Fonseca to get it done in 4 or 5, we'll say. But, looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. And as I said, it could be a bit of a leap forward if he can continue to march forward on this. Interestingly, Fonseca actually has more titles on the main tour than Mahatch. Mahatch just the 1 title, Fonseca 2 already at his young age. So that's an interesting one. Next up, we'll head to the evening session on Louis Armstrong, and we're going to be talking about Pablo Carreno Busta, former top 10 player, coming up against current top 10 player, an American hometown, probably second in the lines of betting, Ben Shelton. He's really emerged in recent times. Shelton's been grabbing a few titles lately and is certainly a name to watch. He's a youngster at just 22. Carreno Busta, a bit of a journeyman, a veteran at 34. And it's when you look at Shelton and his recent form, he's lost one of his last 10 matches. He's got a 22-7 record on the hard courts, and he's going to have the home crowd behind him. These guys did play at the Australian Open earlier this year, again on the hard courts, and Shelton got out to a good start, winning 3-3, dropped a tiebreak in the third set and came back to win in 4 in the second round in what was just over 7 months ago. Looking at the form lines, it's certainly a lot favouring the young American Ben Shelton. Carreno Busta, he can be challenging. He can be a bit of a handful on clay. We've seen that at different points, but he hasn't really taken to the American hard courts. I should say on hard courts. I said on clay. It can be a challenger on hard courts. But again, hasn't really taken to the American swing this time around when we have a look at it. Some of his better form on hard courts was on some other hard courts outside of the US earlier in the year. As for Shelton, he made the final at Toronto, we know that, where he took on Karen Khachanov and came back from a set down and won that. He got knocked out by Alexander Zverev in the quarters of Cincinnati. That's his only loss in his last 10, and he is absolutely firing and flying at the moment. And I just can't see, with the home crowd behind him, the form that he's in, the trajectory he's on at the moment, he's really, broken the shackles in recent times. I actually think he'll get this one done in straight sets. Carreno Busta's got the ability to draw him into a longer match, but I think Shelton's just going to blow him away, use his power, use the home crowd, and be strong for Carreno Busta. But looking forward to seeing how it goes and if Shelton can extend that 1-0 record to 2-0 against Carreno Busta. The last of the men's matches we're going to talk about for day 4, we'll see Arthur Rinderknecht, the Frenchman. He's a little bit mercurial, Rinderknecht, and really entertaining to watch him play, I find. But he will come up against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, the 18th seed in the men's draw, the Spaniard. So interesting to see how this plays out for these two. But as I said, Rinderknecht, he's got a lot of potential, but geez, he got dragged into an absolute arm wrestle in that first match. Nearly 4 hours on court first up. So against Carballes Baena, another Spaniard. So again, dropped the third set. It was only a 4-setter, but went 4 hours. It was a lot easier for Davidovich Fokina, and we've seen him build a little bit of form. He got through to the 4th round in Toronto, got to the final in Washington, where he went down to Alex de Minaur. So, certainly handy. He did retire in Cincinnati, which does put a question mark over his, his stamina and longevity here, but a really strong hardcourt record. The Frenchman in Rinderknecht is exciting, but I think Davidovich Fokina are going to be far too strong, and he'll want to keep moving through as quickly as he can so that if and when he gets to the big matches, he is reasonably fresh. He got through in not under 90 minutes in the first match, and I expect much of the same here. Rinderknecht is going to need to get out of the blocks hard if he's going to be any chance of springing an upset. As I said, Davidovich Fokina, he will continue to build. He's looking to extend upon his career high ranking at the moment of 18, and he's every chance of doing that if he can get through to the 4th round here, having a look at how the draws are opening up for a couple of people. So, it's certainly... I'm going to get Davidovich Fokina to get this one done in 4. I think Rinderknecht will take a set off him, but I think the Spaniard will win out in the end in 4 sets. Let's move on to the women's now. And look, there's some really interesting matchups here. Some former top performers really going strongly, and some others that not as strong. So if we have a look at McCartney Kessler up against Marketa Vondrousova, then that's certainly going to be an interesting one. The American, we know that she's been as high as number 30 in the world. Marketa Vondrousova has been as high as number 6 in the world. She's dropped back to number 60 at the moment. But, certainly interesting to see what happens for her here, Vondrousova. It's going to be an interesting matchup for the two of them. And, Kessler will have the home crowd behind her. It's going to be a huge opportunity for her with the home crowd, and looking forward to seeing how she handles that. Vondrousova does have a 1-love advantage in the head-to-head. Not a lot separates them otherwise. Kessler's played a lot more tennis this year. Both have winning records on hard courts, though, so interesting from that point of view. That matchup was, of course, the first round at Wimbledon, where Kessler bombed out in straight sets 1 and 6 to Vondrousova. So very recent memory, very recent form, but it is on the grass, which really suits Vondrousova. She can step it up to the hard, though. We know that she's got a strong career-winning record on hard courts. But how she goes here with the home crowd behind Kessler, I'm really torn on this one. I'm really excited for what this match offers, but I'm just not too sure which way to lean. I'm going to just, on that recent form, I'm going to go Vondrousova to overcome the home crowd. She's working back towards her peak. I think we'll see her pushing back in towards the seedings in 2026. Both 26, both in that sort of peak period of their careers. But I'm going to go Vondrousova to get this one done in 3 sets. Really looking forward to seeing how this one goes in terms of it. So, yeah, I'm going to go Vondrousova in 3 sets. Next up, we go former world number 1 against former world number 11. Victoria Azarenka against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. These guys have played 9 times in their career. So, obviously, both getting towards the back end of their career, I think it's fair to say. Both not at the highs they previously had. Obviously, we know Azarenka, a 2-time Grand Slam winner, 21 titles on the tour. Pavlyuchenkova as well, plenty of titles, 12 titles on the tour. Both of them are more than capable. Both, interestingly, have losing records on hard courts this year, and neither has had the season they'd love to write home about. The last time these two played was back in 2024 on the hard courts in Toronto, and Azarenka won out. That's when Azarenka was still seeded, as was their clash in 2023, which are probably the 2 most recent form lines we can take from it. Some of their clashes go back to 2009 when they first clashed. Crazy to think that that's 16 years ago these two have been going toe-to-toe for. But again, I think Azarenka stacks up really well here. As I said, both have got losing records on hard courts. Neither of them's exactly, knocked the house down this year. We did see, not a lot of tennis from either of them off the back of their runs at or their tournaments at Wimbledon. Azarenka went out in the first round, of course, to Zakharova, whereas Anisimova knocked out Pavlyuchenkova in the quarterfinals. Pavlyuchenkova had quite a run there, beating Naomi Osaka and Sunny Cartel on her way. But since then, she hasn't really strung any form together on the hard court. So I'm thinking here that maybe Azarenka's experience might be the little bit of difference. It's a really tough one for the two Russians, an interesting matchup. But again, without a lot of confidence, I'm going to go Azarenka to win in 3 sets. Again, she's a little bit fresher. She got through a little quicker in her first round win when we have a look at that here. So against Hina Inui, the American. For Pavlyuchenkova, she obviously took down the seed in Diana Yastremska in 3 sets. But I'm just thinking Azarenka a little bit fresher, both older legs, both not at their peak. So I'm going to get Azarenka in 3, not with a lot of confidence. I think it'll go to 3 sets, and it might just be about who can maintain the power, the force, and the momentum into that 3rd set. Next up, another seeded player, we have Yelena Ostapenko. She's taking on Taylor Townsend. Townsend, another one who's slid down the rankings in recent times. Ostapenko is seeded for this tournament. She sits inside the top 30 of the ranking. She's seeded 25th. Taylor Townsend not seeded, sitting well outside the top 100 at the moment, but has been inside the top 50. And she can be a really challenging player for anyone on her day. Both got through in straight sets. Both have winning records this year. Townsend's record actually looks a little stronger on paper. The last time they came together, again, was at Toronto, like the last match we talked about in 2024, where Townsend knocked Ostapenko over 2-1. Ostapenko is one of those players who matches up really well with certain players and not with others. I'm not saying that she doesn't match up well with Taylor Townsend. She does have a win over here at the US Open way back in 2018, again in the second round, like they match up here today. But again, there's something that's telling me that Townsend and the way she's building here, she went up against Lyudmila Samsonova at the Cincinnati tournament and came away with a win, whereas you have a look at Ostapenko Cincinnati. She had a walkover in the second round and then lost to Bronzetti in the third. She did beat Zarazua in Montreal, but then lost to Naomi Osaka. She bombed out in the first round as well at Wimbledon. Then we have a look at Townsend. She got through to the quarterfinals in Washington. She took out Tatiana Maria Emiliana Arango as well. So she'd lose to Leylah Fernandez, but Fernandez was in some pretty good form. So an interesting one, a challenging one. I think Townsend can probably overcome the seeding because I think she matches up quite well in terms of game styles. The hard court for Ostapenko, it's not where she's traditionally played her best tennis when you have a look at her recent form or her longer scale form as well. She's only just in front on hard court over her career when you have a look at other surfaces, clay and grass, where she's got sort of a 60-odd% winning record. So it's an interesting one. I'm going to go Taylor Townsend to get this one done in 3. I think Ostapenko will have enough to get into the arm wrestle with her, but I'm going to go Townsend to win in 3 and say goodbye to another one of our seeds. And then the last one, we go to Alexandra Ayala, the Filipino star. She comes up against Christina Buxa. And this is an interesting one. They have played the once before, the Spaniard and the Filipino, and it's going to be an interesting match. I think their styles, there's enough in contrast to make it really worth tuning into. Ayala, we saw her fight back in that first round. She spent a lot of time on court, but she's had a really good year, and I touched on this in the lead up to it. As we know, I tipped that Towson would win, but she managed to fight back after a slip up in the second set and got done in that match tiebreak, 11-9. So really strong from Ayala. She is building something here. Hard courts seem to be probably the best of her services. She's got a lot of experience playing on them. 60-something% winning record. We didn't see the best of her necessarily in Montreal and London, but you could in Montreal, and then going back to Wimbledon, but you could again argue some tough draws. Leading into that, though, we saw that final that she made, where she made the final of Eastbourne, lost to Maya Joint, the Aussie, and again she took down names like Yelena Ostapenko that we're just talking about, Diana Yastremska on that run, Hailey Baptiste even in qualifying, and I think this matches up quite well for her. She is continuing to rise up the rankings. These girls played back in 2021 on the Challenger Tour, which is interesting enough, in Grenoble in France. So, look, both have exactly the matching career high rankings. Neither of them has made into the top 50. Books has been around the traps a little bit more. She'll be a little fresher after an easier first up win, but I think Ayala might be a little battle hardened by that. And so I'm going to actually tip Ayala to win this one. And I'm going to tip her to get it done in straight sets. I think she can learn from that slip up in the first round, and we're going to see her march on here and go through to the third round of this slam. Really looking forward to seeing what she can deliver. It's going to be an interesting one. So really looking forward to day 4. Looking forward to seeing what we can from Alexandra Ayala too, in terms of now how the draw opens up. It's starting to shape reasonably well. She's the first, Filipino to win a singles match in the main draw of a Grand Slam, and realistically, as I say, this draw's opened up now for her, where she'll play, if she wins this match, she'll play the winner of Elisa Mertens and Lulu Sun, which is also on day 4. And I think, again, Elisa Mertens or Lulu Sun, both winnable matches for her, and that could see her get through to the 4th round, which would be huge for her. It would see her probably move up the rankings quite considerably, quite significantly. But, really interested to see where she can, I guess, surge to here when we look at it. As I said, she's sort of sitting in a position outside that top 50 at the moment. She's at just inside the top 70, but a couple of wins could quite quickly lift her up towards the top 50, even towards, striking distance of the seed. So we'll keep an eye on Ayala because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see all of the movements in the rankings. A lot of players sort of inside that top 50 already losing out in the round of 128, the first round. So things will open up. There'll be movements. We'll see players starting to surge back up the rankings depending on who's defending what points. It's going to be a really interesting piece for a lot. I mean, someone like a Jessica Pegula defending a lot of points, so has dropped down to 9th live in the rankings, but we know so long as she goes a fair way into this tournament, she'll maintain a lot of those points, and that'll make a significant difference because there is quite a cluster in the women's ranking. So looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. Looking forward to coming back over the next couple of days. We should have some company for me on the next couple of days as well. We're hoping Christian Monaghan from the First Serve is due to join us. So really looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking tennis to you and bringing you more as well. And, of course, stay tuned for our weekly episode talking all things around the grounds. Plenty of other sporting content there. We're going to be talking some rugby league, some F1, some sprinting and athletics, and a few other different topics as well. So really looking forward to getting into that. That'll drop on Thursday night. We're going to have some updates around the Australian NBL, the preseason tournament, the NBL Blitz as well, coming in some daily doses. Plenty more to come to you. There's lots happening in the sporting world. But until we next chat, big thank you to tuning into your home of the black and white opinion on sports. No grey here, and we'll talk to you again soon.